Hi everybody. Here is Charlotte Wilson, and she's BodyTalk Advanced, and she is a teacher of BodyTalk Fundamentals. And I am Eugenie Steenhuis, and I am coordinator of Fundamental courses. Charlotte, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. It's nice to be chatting with you today. Um, I am, as the name says, 100% Danish, but I have lived in the UK for 30 years, and I've been a body talk practitioner for 22 years. So I heard about the system and learned and took my certification here in the UK. But the journey with that whole system has taken me around many countries and learning from the founder, John Veltheim, and many other people. So I always love talking about body talk. So I look forward to our chat.
Good, good. So I am French, and in I am French, and I am in the Netherlands, so I will try to speak English for you. And we will start, Charlotte. Why did you learn body talk? It's now a long time ago, but why?
That's a big question. And of course, we are here to tell people about body talk, how to learn it, and what it's all about. So for me, to start with, I guess my journey, it could be a long story, but really, why body talk? It crossed my path. I heard about it and it just brought everything I was looking for, together. So in a way, as I think it happens for so many of us, one path in life finishes and I got really burned out in the old job I was doing. I loved it. It was quite adventurous, but also it was coming to an end. And a lot of things in my life, it was just building up and up, and I hadn't dealt with certain things. So it caught up with me and I crashed. So it, it was kind of beautiful because it reconnected me back with a sense of something I've always been interested in since I was young and in school, but I didn't know how to study it or how to pursue it. But I've always had a lot of interest in being human, all the big questions in life. That's a big topic, a big study. You can spend your whole life studying it, but especially how the mind affects us. You know, when you think back to experiences where you've been afraid as a child or things like that. I have a very simple memory and I just remember my whole stomach, physically, that knot and that connection of body and mind. I've always wanted to somehow get into studying that, working with that, and making that my career, my work. So I'd already looked into a number of holistic, complementary, integrated. There are so many words for this these days. Areas, and acupuncture really helped me. But needles, I didn't really want to work with needles or take a long time studying. But I was still looking. And I think in my old job, which had nothing to do with healthcare, but I had 2 ears and a cup of tea, and that wasn't quite enough. I was in catering, and food is beautiful for healing, but so I've always been looking for different tools, but I just quite couldn't land on one. So when I heard about Body Talk, and I know we will explain what that is as part of our chat, it just went click. That just brings everything together, and it was a no-brainer. I just jumped on the next course, which was the first course in the UK, and that's how it came to me. It really just came at the time I needed to step onto something new. So,
Yes, good, good,
how about you?
good. Yes, I I begin to study body talk because I feel stuck in my life, and I wanted to find new solutions and to find new ways to make my life less heavy. Um, I I try. I'm an engineer, so I'm very left brain, logical, and I like to have focus. Um, but it doesn't help me to see the big picture and to take more space for me and for my way. As BodyTalk helped me to find with intuition to see the big pictures and to see more possibilities in my life. Um, and and so I studied, and I love it.
I know the feeling. Absolutely.
Yes. Um. Um. How Body Talks change your life, Charlotte?
That's a big, beautiful question. It has completely changed my life. And and yet in a way it has connected me with something I think I always wanted to do or be. So in a very practical sense, and I know we're here talking about the course, but it really was that step into, in a way, the career or the job I always wanted in school. So finding that eventually a way to study that, which just didn't exist back then, it was really tricky, has just been getting on the path of life I really, really wanted to be on. So it's been a tool, it's been a way, it's been a path for growing professionally and but also personally. And that's a huge part of this work. Of course, you're always working with yourself as well and as part of that journey. So that frustrated kid in school who just dreamt of studying life and the human being and the mind's effect on everything, there has to be more than just mechanical, physical functioning in life. Because I've felt that myself, like I mentioned earlier. And what about the energy body? So I worked with Eastern medicine that helped me, and I know working with the energy body, the chi, the life flow, when you feel good, then everything seems to function better. So what's that about? So the way it's changed my life, it's really given me a way to study that, which is beautiful because how do you go down that path? But on the other side as well, a professional life of actually being able to share that with others and help others on their life journey. So that's been a huge part because when you find something that you really love and that's good, you want to share it with other people. So I feel in a way after 20 years, I've caught up with myself and a lot of the big, big questions that I had, but also had, a structured way to really use it for other people. So a lot of personal experience and a lot of experience with clients has just allowed me to go on this big adventure. And that's been the biggest change, that I could go on that adventure that I always dreamt of. So I don't know if you got any questions of that, but that would really be a nice summary of the biggest changes it has brought to me.
Yeah, good, good. Okay. Yeah, for me it was a little bit different, but also the same. I wanted my life is changed because I learned to be closer from my heart and to listen not only to my thinking but also to my heart and my gut feeling. And
Actually, that's something I just have a little extra on that because we are talking about how it can change your life and how it can benefit you as well. And we're talking about the head, the heart. And for me, it was always the psychology, the mind, but also the mirror of that being the physical, how the mind affects the body is such a big missing piece, I think, in healthcare. And even to be able to work with mental health, feeling mentally, and that includes emotionally healthy, is something that we really need more tools for that. So I've had pains disappear in the first, just studying with other students, period pain, really bad backache from my old job. But that whole sense of, I had a terrible fear of public speaking, even having to speak up in class in school. This is a transformed person, but also that whole sort of personality of, what can I say? It's like, I can do it myself. I'm independent and, DIY, almost the punk attitude of, no, I'll make it work. And the sort of feeling really strong and not realizing where you think the strengths are sometimes is actually also the flip side of that, can also be where you end up building up overwhelm and tension. Really learning to get to know how that then affects the body. Every cell is listening and beginning to understand there is a story, and beginning to see both sides and, dance that dance, walk that line. So in a way, that's been a huge change that it has brought to my life, to be able to walk that line better and dance the dance of,
Yes.
there are many
The,
aspects to life.
the thing I can remember from your lesson, the first time I did the fundamentals with you, is go with the flow. It changed my life because I just, at the beginning, I had, what is this? What does it mean? But afterwards, to notice every time you are resisting to the flow, and every time you are in the resistance to what is happening instead of going and try to understand what is happening, it's so beautiful, and it's changed my life
That is
very.
so lovely to hear. And that it's such a cliche, go with the flow, but learning, what does it really mean? How does it feel? Yeah.
Yes, yes, and it changed the way I think about life. Okay, we speak a lot about what's changed for you. What is BodyTalk System? What is it? Can you explain? Not too long, but a little bit.
Of course. What is the BodyTalk system? We could talk for days, as you as you are reminding me. But because this is what we're talking about, and it is a system of healthcare. I like to call it life care. Or some people use it for wellness. Some people call it medicine. It falls into those words of mind-body medicine. We really are looking here at how the psychology affects the physiology, the mind and the body working together. It's also known as energy medicine. We are not really in this system prescribing any medication or remedies or doing any manipulation physically. We are working through the body's energy systems. So it is a system based in the understanding that everything is interconnected, as we've touched on already. And when the communication or the connections are clear and functional, then we have this inbuilt ability to come back to homeostasis. So I always sort of do that, life moves up and down, like we talk about, go with the flow. If you want perfection, beep, that's not life, you're dead. So the idea that as we move through life, we constantly have to adjust, come back to homeostasis, and not just physically, physiologically, but emotionally, mentally. So the system, to keep it as short as I can, is really based on helping restore those connections when they get blocked or they get not so functional. And that can be between the body, the mind. Many physical issues are actually emotional blockages, energy blockages. And with that, that is what it's built on, to connect somebody back to themselves in a way that allows their own natural inner ability to heal to come forward. And it's amazing when we have those clear functional connections, what can change. And from the inside out, we're really working with a person's own ability, natural ability to find balance again.
Good, good. And what do a body talk practitioner do during a session? Can you explain that?
Yeah, how do you do it? So basically, so what are the tools? As I said, we don't use remedies or pushing or pulling or manipulation. We are using tools to encourage the body to come back into its own balance. So part of that is the practitioner really needs to use, as you mentioned earlier, both the left and the right brain, or what that mentions, or what that, what do I say, left and right. It's not really the left and right brain, but without going into that, we're talking about being very structured. And then the felt sense that it's hard to put words to, that intuition. And in body talk, I think that's the genius of it. We call it structured intuition. So as a practitioner, we are being trained and learning how to use that and tap into that intuition where you can give another person a voice. You can be somebody outside who is not stuck in their dramas and their blockages and the story that they've been telling themselves for a long time. But we're looking for the roots and the story that is ready to be seen and changed, making new healthy connections. So allowing the body to reveal that, we have a tool, we have two names, a muscle check or a biofeedback, but it is like a yes and a no. We can literally use the client's arm to communicate. And that is something I spent quite a while teaching about in class. It's not a simple thing to just describe other than we have a yes and a no, which is like a translation tool for our intuition. And then I have part of the chart behind me, but a real structure to ask questions that are relevant so that we can actually see what is ready and what's the first thing that we need to connect. It's not always what you think we need. Sometimes we have to open another door first. There's really tailor-made asking questions, using the yes, no. And then we have different ways of focusing, bringing attention. For example, it could be, a shoulder and a hip, or one shoulder, another shoulder, or to a belief about being over-responsible that's stuck. And whatever the story is, we use a tapping technique to help the client's own brains, but not just the head brain, also the heart brain, the emotional intelligence, and the gut brain. We use the tapping to wake the client's body mind up, to tap into that new ability to connect, a new possibility. And then the change comes from within as the new focus creates a new way of engaging with
Good.
themselves.
I love when you are speaking about BodyTalk. So, who can learn BodyTalk system?
Anybody. But I will say anybody with an interest, of course.
Yes.
So a lot of people who come to the system have a healthcare practice or practitioners with other qualifications, and they're looking just to expand, to expand the skill set, get new certifications, and help their clients further. And a lot of people will say BodyTalk sort of helps bring together everything else that you do, because as a practitioner, you can bring everything that you have already learned into the charts. It's a structure. Everything you know can fit in. So we're all slightly different as practitioners. That's the beauty of it. But as you or I know neither of us had a medical background. We stepped into BodyTalk. This can also be for people who just really want to step onto that path and learn how to do this and start a new career or work with friends and family. So the only prerequisite is really that you have an interest, even curiosity. Some people just come because they're curious, and it's like a whole way of opening the mind to seeing the world as interconnected and working with that, which is so different from that sort of separate, all stuck in our own little boxes way of seeing the world. So just doing that can be quite life-changing. People come from all different areas to learn.
Yes, and I think also you can learn the BodyTalk system because you want to use your intuition or in a more structured way, so that you can easier lay on your intuition.
Yeah, it's a good point. And many people, we have that little voice, but we don't know what to do with it. And so the structure, being able to ask questions. So in this case, like a chef just knows instinctively what spices to use. They have a knowledge of the foods, and it's like art. And with BodyTalk, what you're really gaining is a knowledge of a human being, but physically, emotionally, mentally, connection to the environment, and genetically. A lot of the stories go back. It's like, I don't understand why this is going on. So we can help see what's ready to be connected to transform and bring more harmony into that. And the intuition is such a big tool. And yeah, I love how you get to use it in a structured way.
Yes. Okay. Which path can you follow to learn BodyTalk? How can you learn it?
So there are a couple of paths, but the The very beginning one is, of course, try a session yourself as well, but to learn it, we have two basic core courses. One is 1 day BodyTalk Access. It really makes it accessible. And here you learn some basic techniques out of the whole system that you can use for home care. And it's a really good introduction into the system. You do not learn the yes and the no. And you work with other people in a preset way, but it's really for yourself as well, to look after you. And then the next level, as we are talking about today as well, the BodyTalk Fundamentals, which is 4 days. And that is a very full curriculum, a beautiful manual, university level, that will guide the coming practitioner. You do not have to take the exam and become a practitioner, but really it will guide you in a learning journey of working with other people and all the tools that I talked about, the yes, no, using your intuition, the tools to focus and use the tapping techniques, and really going into what is that really about. So the principles, the fundamental concepts that we're working with, because we're really, in a way, John Beltime, as he was building this system, and he attracted some wonderful, very qualified people with lots of experience into the system that became, part of the growth of it. And it really has been bridging Western and Eastern medicine, and also ancient philosophies and ways of looking at life, and a more spiritual, big picture way, but also the same knowledge is now coming out of quantum physics, the modern sciences. So it's sort of bridging in all different directions, and we get a chart and a way to work with all of it. And that's what the fundamentals is about, learning the language, learning very methodically to go through that, so your intuition has a language of health.
Good, good. Okay, and after the fundamental course, you can also follow a study group that is organized in local countries. So there is one in the Netherlands, but in all the countries there is different one. And in the Netherlands, I will do the study group, and it's 6 online evening plus 2 day for practical, and we are doing all the course again, but in the Dutch, so it will be easier to understand it.
I really love that. And I actually want to just highlight here, if I have a moment, that part of the learning journey, when I was looking, should I learn acupuncture? And I did not want to work with needles. I did not feel it was practical. And I also knew that acupuncture was such a big study. It would take me many years to become, really good at feeling the subtleties. And I was looking at kinesiology, which was a 2-year course. And then when I heard about BodyTalk and found that the founder of BodyTalk had been teaching acupuncture and kinesiology and had really studied all of this and had this beautiful way of focusing on the connections between everything without using needles or anything else, and that I could learn it in 4 days. It's almost, really? And of course, it does mean that you do not have to commit to 2 years and all the tuition fees and everything that goes with that. So it actually creates, I sound like a commercial right now, don't I? But it really does create a way that you can find a 4-day time where you learn it, and then you can study at home at your own speed for your own circumstances in life. And for me, that was really helpful that I could do that in that way. So having study help is really important. And I love that you do that, and many other people do that in your own language as well, to really anchor it. Because for many of us, English is not our first language, or it has become mine. But also there is online support from instructors as well. And so there is support after, but you do need to be self-motivated as well. But that's the balance with fitting it into your own life. And I love that personally.
So is English a very big obstacle to learn to follow the course, the BodyTalk Fundamentals course?
I think that depends on you, and I think you are a better person to answer that question. Because I'm Danish, I do speak very fast English in everyday life, but I am very, very familiar and aware of not having English as your first language. I always try to say things in very down-to-earth ways and in a few different ways. And we can always take a moment and translate a word if somebody doesn't understand it. But what is your feeling about that as a French Dutch student?
I will say if you can follow Charlotte now, yeah, then you can follow her in the course. It will not be very different than now. And if you have problem, you can always ask. And afterwards, there is a study group where everything will be repeated. So if something was not really understood, then it will become understood. I think if you can follow us, then, and I did follow the course with Charlotte a long time ago, and my English was not very good. It's still not very good, but it was less good than now, and could do it. So everybody can do it.
I love that. And I also, we actually have Body Talk in many languages, translated for people in Germany, in Brazil, in Japan, around the world. This is practiced around the world, some countries more than others. So a lot of the charts, and even in some languages, the manual has been translated. But I work from the English manual, and but I will even have a translator sometimes for some
Yes,
courses. So
the chart is translated in Dutch.
beautiful work.
Okay, how can you build confidence to practice to do a BodyTalk session?
This is
And
such a good question.
on your intuition.
How do you build confidence with learning and practicing? Well, the answer is in your question. Practice. The sentence, practice makes master. And that is why having support and getting together with students from the course or other people around you and really practice, practice, practice. You are going to be a really popular person with your friends and your family, maybe some of your clients who will benefit. Because even when you practice, people do experience changes, and we got some beautiful stories from this.
Okay, so you say a lot of things, Charlotte. How can you summarize this about BodyTalk, and why is it good to add it to your life?
Why is it good to add BodyTalk to your life? So we're talking about learning and maybe starting a new career or having a beautiful tool at home and with your friends and your family. So everything else in your life, it doesn't have to be medical training, but just your life experience will fit into this structure. It is a beautiful thing to learn to support your work or your life, your family. So that is one thing professionally. Personally, stepping into this world, down this path, it will give you a different view. It will really open the mind's eye to a different way of looking at life that is much bigger, more interconnected, more welcoming instead of separate and all the little mechanical wheels turning and you're stuck and am I doing it right? Is this going okay? Who am I? How do I fit? There is this beautiful way of seeing life in a different way. As we said, quantum physics talks about that. So we are beginning to see ourselves as an interconnected, like that's where the word holistic, being whole comes from. So anybody who's looking to study that and go down that path and learn about that, this study will also bring you the riches of going there, into that self-discovery journey, which is a long, deep path, and we can talk about that in another time maybe, because that's a whole other talk. All those questions I was stuck with when I was a kid that in a way gave me a lot of insecurities, gave me a lot of fears, and I didn't understand until much later on. A lot of that had its roots in how do I fit? What's this all? How did I land here in life? How does it all fit? I had a very, very strong mind, which is beautiful for studying, but also it makes things heavy and too many questions, which brings up judgments and insecurities and control. but it's also part of the human experience. And when you start studying this, you realize I'm just human. And there is a softness that comes in. So all those things, I would say, that was not a quick summary. I was not very good at that, but that is really a summary of what we talked about and what learning the system. You can do that for yourself and for others.
Okay, I will make a very quick summary. So, BodyTalk Fundamentals, you learn 20 techniques that you can use on your body, on emotional, on spiritual level of your body. So it's very, very big, and it's 4 days, and yes, it's for everybody who wants to use the intuition with their logic.
Love that. Nice summary.
Okay. How can you what can you do next if you want to learn BodyTalk?
Get in touch. And I would say we will put some links with this. I think that's what you do. We'll put some links down here below the video or something like that. To learn more, we will put a poster up so you can see the next courses coming on. And so you can find a course. But if you have questions in any way as well, we would love to talk to you and hear from you and see if it actually fits you. Because maybe it doesn't, but if it does and you have questions, don't hesitate. Let's have a 15-minute, chat and answer your questions or get in touch, discover more. And there are websites in different languages as well. We can put some links as well for people to discover this. And of course, you can try a session for yourself. But to learn, really get in touch with us, and we will make sure you have a way to do that.
And if you want to have a session, you can look at the Netherlands BodyTalk website, netherlandsbodytalk.nl, and you can see there is a lot of practitioners in the Netherlands. You can choose one and just have a session and see what is doing for you. What can it be? Yes, so are we done?
Thank you for today, Eugenie. This was lovely to do.
Thank you very much, Charlotte, because it was wonderful to hear you about the BodyTalk system. And bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Yeah, bye. Bye.